And out here, it's so beautiful. There's so much open space. It's so easy to get back into a positive mindset just by going outside or even just looking out the window, really.
Exactly. Hi, and welcome to the Desert Lady Diaries podcast, a weekly conversation with women who found their home in the Mojave Desert. I'm Dawn Davis, and this is episode 91. If you'd like more information about the podcast, it's all at the website desertladydiaries.com, and I invite you to engage with the guests, with other listeners, or me on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Desert Lady Diaries, or on Twitter at Desert Lady Diary. Meilani MacDonald moved to the high desert this year looking for an escape from the low desert heat. Plus, she feels like this place is paradise. Meilani is a branding and marketing counselor on staff with the Coachella Valley Women's Business Center and a trainer for the Riverside San Bernardino region BNI, which is an active worldwide referral networking group. Throughout her career, she'd done everything from office work to writing, graphic design, public outreach, and book editing. She's thrilled to be here to talk with me about the next exciting chapter in this adventure called life. Welcome to the podcast.
Woohoo! Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here.
The first question always is, what was your first experience with desert?
Well, my first experience with desert was moving here from Florida, driving from Florida to Los Angeles. I actually moved to LA.
Well, but you'll be fun. It's funny. I moved from Florida to Los Angeles.
Really?
Yes.
Tampa Bay area here.
Oh, okay. I was a little northeast of Orlando.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, but I made trips to Tampa on a regular basis. So.
Well, here's the thing. I was 19. My best friend was 18. And I learned how to drive a stick shift in her car.
A skill that's always useful, yes, and you never forget.
Yes, especially on those hills in LA.
Right.
But 60 miles away from home, the radiator got a leak in it. So we made the whole rest of the trip across country with a jug of water in the trunk. So, of course, going through the desert, we had to change and drive at night and just hang out during the day.
Right.
And that was it, hanging out at some air-conditioned place somewhere in Arizona, listening to Bon Jovi at the time on the jukebox, drinking iced teas, waiting for it to cool down so we could continue on our journey. That was my first experience.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's funny because when I moved, it was July. And I moved with a partner that I was living with, and we decided we needed to drive at night too because the U-Haul had some weird thing that if you drove over a certain amount of miles per hour, like it shut down the air conditioner. It was this like energy saver, gas saver thing. So he's like, I cannot drive during the day. So that's kind of what happened to us. We were driving, we'd start out, I guess, about 3 or 4 in the afternoon and drive as long as we could.
Yeah. So it was not an instant love of the desert. It was oh my God, it's really hot. Mm-hmm. And the love of the desert came later after I'd been living in LA for many years and started going camping and exploring the outdoors and how awesome it was in the West Coast. And I started going camping in Joshua Tree a lot. And of course, back then was back when we could just feel like going camping this weekend. Yeah, let's go. And then you drive, and then you just drive in and pick a spot because there was always something available.
Yeah, no reservations required.
Right, no reses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a difference that is.
Yeah, I know. To today with what we're topping like 3 million visitors a year now. So do you get into the park often now?
No, not so much because all I have to do really is go outside.
Right.
So, I drive around over there, drive around up to the park entrance. I've been in the park once or twice, but really it's just doing my errands, going from home to the store. I just am in grateful mode, looking around going,
right.
Can't believe I live in this paradise. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yes. And the last couple of days have been with the clouds and just the way the light shifts on the mountains and all through the day. It's just beautiful. Distracting kind of too, especially if you're like in a job where you can look out the window.
Yes.
It's a little distracting. Yes. So you leave LA and you move to... Did you move to the Palm Springs area? Is that when that happened?
No, actually, I moved to Desert Hot Springs because I was like, I don't want to live in a mall. And I wanted to, the reason I was leaving LA was I wanted open spaces. And so Desert Hot Springs was where there was open spaces. I actually wanted to live in Joshua Tree. But it just wasn't feasible because the job I had to come to was in Palm Desert. And at least 50% of the reason I was leaving LA was I was tired of the traffic and the long drives to work. And so I wasn't about to go from 1 hour plus long drive to work to another one that was going to be an hour drive to work.
Right, yeah. Well, and that grade, if anything ever happens on that, you're kind of stuck until it reopens. My GPS will say to me when I'm heading out, maybe to LA or somewhere, it'll, if there's a lane closed, like on 62, it'll say, lane closure in 1/2 mile, you're still on the fastest route. Right. And I respond, sister, I am on the only route.
The only one. Yes.
So you're living in Desert Hot Springs, then what precipitated the move to Joshua Tree or High Desert?
That is a little bit of a long story, and it had to do just with timing of everything in life coming together. Relationship gone bad, losing the house to the ex, but getting a nice settlement out of it, which allowed me to get my own house up here.
Wonderful.
And it was just a time where I was like, okay, I don't have a job holding me back. I don't have a need to be close to any particular area holding me back. I want to go somewhere I want to go. And I'm really 10 years, 14 years later, I'm still dealing with the heat here and hating it and getting rashes in summer. And I just want to go somewhere a little cooler, but still be in the desert. So up here it was. I've always been drawn to up here.
Right.
And now I'm finally here, and it's wonderful.
So how did that process happen where you finally made the decision, like, I'm going to move to the high desert?
Well, I had to move. So I was going through legal process with the ex in the house, and I knew that it was going to be, one of us was going to end up buying the other one out. And it turned out he ended up buying me out. But I knew it was coming, but I didn't know when. So finally, when I got the notice, it was, okay, you have 5 days to find another place to live.
Whoa, wow.
And I have 3 animals.
Oh my gosh. And that's difficult to find, even with 50 days.
Yes. And I put the word out. I got very lucky, very, very fortunate that a very nice man in Cathedral City let me rent a room in this house with my whole menagerie. And it ended up being very close to a job that I got just before that, out of the blue, which was what I needed to enable me to get a loan to buy the house up here. And when I was in Cathedral City, even though the man was really super nice and everything, but still it was going from, 1,800 square foot house to 1 room. Right. And I was just like, I need to get out of here. Right. And not feeling comfortable there, knowing I'm a guest, knowing I have animals, and like just feeling like, oh, this poor guy,
Yeah.
So I was just coming up here every weekend and spending all my time looking, and the houses are going so fast now.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it all just kind of worked out together, and I feel like a lot of it was just manifestation of what I've been kind of putting out to the universe that I really wanted. And because we're also lucky, fortunate, blessed in life, it happened. And I found the house. Most of the houses I had been looking at up here, frankly, were like missing a wall or big holes in the floor.
Oh my goodness.
They were needed work that were in my price range. And I am not one of those fixer-upper kind of ladies.
No, me either.
So I was driving around in areas I liked, and I saw a house, and it was in my price range, and I looked over the fence. It had a privacy fence around the front because it was in still a little bit of a neighborhood more than I want the acreage ultimately. But it had a wooden privacy fence all the way around, so then I was like, okay, I like this. Looked over the fence, and it was this like cactus and succulent wonderland in the front yard that they had done. And I thought, this is the place. So I called the realtors, and they took me inside, and it was painted. It was no holes in the walls, no ceilings or floors missing. Everything was complete. It was a whole house, nice big yard for the animals. And I was like, I'll take it.
Wonderful.
And I think it had been on the market only that week, just been put on.
Yeah, things are going really fast.
You have to get it really in a few days anymore to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Personal question, were you pre-approved for a mortgage?
I was, yes.
Okay, yeah.
I was in the process of getting pre-approved because The loan agent that I found that I worked with actually was referred to me by that realtor. So she just really expedited it. She did a great job and got me pre-approved.
Okay.
While the realtors were still going back and forth on the price haggling.
Right.
So
I think that's key
Yeah.
lately here, because so many folks are coming in from outside of our area and laying down cash.
Yes.
And I think that you have a huge advantage if you're already pre-approved,
Yes.
even if you don't have cash.
Yes, because it has to move quickly.
Right, exactly. So I think that's a good tip for anybody that's looking to come out here in this time, is to, go and get your ducks in a row
Yes.
first and then start looking. I mean, obviously I look all the time, keeping my finger on the pulse of the market, but I'm in a similar situation where I'm not the handy lady.
Right, yeah.
Nor do I want to be,
Right.
quite frankly. It's
Yeah.
not, I don't have an interest in that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
well, good. So now you moved up here, but did you know anybody when you moved up here?
I knew one or two people, but
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. So how have you been? Because you've only been since January, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. So how have you been kind of going out or have you?
Well, yes, I have actually. Yes and no. Professionally, yes.
Okay.
I joined the BNI chapter that's up here in Yucca Valley. BNI is referral marketing group, and it is an active referral marketing group. So it's not just a networking group, it's actually referral marketing. And there's a difference, because when you join this group, you get training on how to find a good qualified lead to refer to everybody else in the group.
Gotcha.
It's not about, I'm going to join this group and all of a sudden I'm getting all these leads.
Right.
The philosophy is giver's gain, meaning that first year you have to go in and you have to prove to the rest of the group that you are trustworthy, that you are good for your word, that you're going to do good work if they refer you, and that you're in it for the game, not just to sit there and say, gimme, gimme, gimme. So you get all this training that trains you how to listen to what the other members need. Each week, the member stands up and says, here's what I'm looking for. Not your usual 30-second commercial you do at a mixer.
Elevator pitch,
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
But
Yeah.
rather an ask. It's called the ask. Here's what I'm looking for this week. I need a residential homeowner who has holes in the roof that they just realized after it rained, because I'm a roofer, for example.
Right.
And so then we know, when we're dealing with our clients, if we listen to them and they're saying, oh gosh, all that rain, I got these leaks, then we know, okay, we qualify the lead, and then we put them in touch with them.
Awesome.
So it's referral marketing, which is different from just networking.
So that's the professional side.
That's the professional
So have
side.
any friendships formed from that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Absolutely.
that's
These
something,
groups are
yeah.
awesome because they end up becoming, I'm the new person on the block, but when I see the people in there who have been there for a while, they're all like family. Every week they're up, I love you guys so much.
Aw.
Thanks for the referrals.
Right.
And-
Well, it's helping them to
Yeah.
continue to, earn their living and, continue their livelihood here.
Well,
so that's important.
This chapter is actually one of the oldest chapters in this Riverside, San Bernardino County area.
Really?
It's been there for like 20-something years. So
Holy
some of those
smokes.
members have been members for 20 years, and they've known each other growing up, and two of them have kids that are like marrying each other now.
Oh my goodness.
And,
Wow.
yeah, so it's really nice.
That's
and they're very
amazing.
welcoming. It's been wonderful.
So it's Business Networking International, is that what it is?
I think it's Business Networks International,
Oh, okay.
but
If someone listening wanted to
Well,
check
the
it out.
regional director said, we don't even use it anymore. It's just BNI.
Oh,
It's
gotcha.
just become BNI. So that's what the websites are. BNI. It doesn't even say anywhere what it is.
Right. The letters B,
Yeah.
N, I.
Correct.
Not B ampersand I.
Right. So BNIRSB for BNI Riverside San Bernardino.com.
Okay.
That's where you can go to find all the chapters in the desert area. Find one near you, check it
Right.
out, see
Cool.
if it's
Yeah, because
something that...
I have people listening all over the place. So. So how about on the personal side?
Well,
What's
on the
happening there?
personal side, it's been a little tough because I came out of a long-time relationship that had turned kind of,
Sour.
sour. And I was, the whole online dating thing, I could just...
I gave it up when I moved from LA.
because
Well,
I would swipe. 5 later, it's going, we have no more matches in your area. And I'm like, okay, well, just focus on you.
yeah, that's
Start
what's
focusing
happened
on
up
you.
here. But it took me a long time just to get brave enough to make a profile on there because, we're of an age, we grew up with Big Brother and be really super private. But then, much to the joke of our entire generation, the internet came out and Big Brother was not necessary because everybody gave it away for free, right? Like, I don't need privacy here. Here's where I'm at. I'm checking in.
Yeah, exactly.
I still had that background though.
Sure.
And it took me, I think, several months just to make my profile public once I put it on there. And then I finally got comfortable and I went out with about, 8 guys or so. And just, they were nice, they were cool, but no sparks. And then I met one that was really, really awesome. And fell in love, man. Totally fell in love. He was Mr. Right. Well, he turned out to be Mr. Predator Right. Who was Mr. Right for several women. And
that's hard, man.
It was.
So did you, before you chose a particular site, did you do any research on what the best site might be? And do you have any tips on that?
I was on a couple. I was on POF, Plenty of Fish, and Bumble. And POF was where I met the Mr. Right Predator guy, and I'm not on that one anymore.
Right.
And, it's not that it was a bad site or that anyone is prone to more. It was just, it happened to be that one. That was also the one where most of the guys I met were from, and they were fine. I mean, like I said, the rest of them were fine.
And then were they here in the high desert? Were a lot of them down in the low desert?
This was in the low desert. This was, no, I haven't met anybody since I moved up here. Again, I've only been up here since January, and I only found out about Mr. Right being Mr. Right for everybody. Valentine's Day.
It sounds like a t-shirt he should be wearing.
I know, right?
To warn everyone.
So that was on Valentine's Day. It was only 3 months ago. So I've been kind of recovering from that. It's okay. It actually was the catalyst of my very quickened spiritual awakening that kind of blew all that stuff to the side. But it was good because I finally found love for myself that I did not realize I was missing until I went through this experience. And as I was going through my grief, which was always more than I thought it should be, it always felt like, end of the world grief. And the thought came to me, I need someone else to love me because I don't love myself.
Oh, wow.
And so when I was losing love from someone else, all of a sudden I had total loss of love. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought I loved myself. I had a situation for which I was mad at myself and angry with myself, but I thought I had resolved it and forgiven. And this brought to my attention the fact I didn't actually. And I ended up going into this meditative state, and I time traveled back to my 11-year-old self where some of these things really started. And we had a nice long conversation and lots of hugging and crying and all that stuff. And I came out feeling whole, feeling happy. I was in lower vibrations of fear and despair when I went in, and I came out in higher vibrations of joy and love. And it's just been really amazing, this weight that I've carried for decades of my life, and that has put a weight on the relationships that I had and made them unhealthy, is gone. And it's really amazing. So I know that when I'm ready, the next relationship is going to be a really good one. I'm just not ready yet. Sure. But I'm still putting myself out there so that I can get ready. And in that process of putting myself out there, I'm looking for things like, I went to a mixer at an art studio out in the middle of the desert. That's a glass art place they're creating. It's new, and I'm sorry I don't remember the name of it, but there's an event on Facebook from last week where you can see it, and it is really, really cool. And it was just a bunch of artists that were coming, and they were showing how they do glass art, not blown glass, but glass paintings, glass windows, other kinds of glass art. It was really cool and interesting, and I met some really cool people there. And so I'm starting to make friendships now,
well, and go out to events where there are like-minded people.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
That will pick up on your new high vibration.
Yes, and it's wonderful. One of my friends, Sabrina, hi Sabrina, shout out. She came over this morning and we did an intention setting session, which is creative intention setting, because now I want to move forward into the more spiritual stuff that I'm actually feeling a calling for now. And it's where we sat down and painted, and I had her concentrate on what is it that you want to bring into your life? What are the positive aspects? Or is there something that you need to bring into your career? You know, so she paints and then words come out like focus and creativity, but also happiness and joy, because we always want to be happy and joyful with what we do. So, and it's helping her a lot, and it's great because I'm practicing with friends right now with this stuff, and I'm getting really good feedback. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I think I saw on your Facebook page you had posted a week or so ago about, I think my business is going to take on a spiritual component as well. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about your business, because you have a virtual assistant business.
Yes.
And then you also just recently got this new job with the Coachella Valley Women's Business Center.
Right.
So let's talk about VA and how that came along, virtual assistant.
Well, VA actually came along because I wanted to join BNI. When you join BNI, you have to choose a business category.
Okay.
Because it's a one business per category. So, for example, if there's a realtor and a mortgage lender and a roofer, there's only one of each. And then when somebody buys a house, the realtor is going to get all the referrals from everybody else in the group. The mortgage loan person will get all the referrals. So there's not competition within the group.
Understood.
So I went in the group and I'm like, should I go as graphic designer? Should I go as writer and editor? Should I go as, marketing consultant? What should I go as? And I thought, you know what? I'll go as virtual assistant, because then I can do it all.
Right.
As long as nobody else in that category comes along. So it also leaves categories open. If we get a graphic designer to come in, then great, that person will get the graphic design, and I just don't promote that part of my VA services so that we don't compete, but I do other stuff, so that's fine. That's how I went to VA.
Right.
It just basically means I'm freelance and there's a lot of stuff I can do.
Right, yeah.
So if you need some graphic
But a lot of companies do use these. I mean, I'm on the mailing list of a number of women who actually have businesses where they train people how to be a VA and how to set up your virtual assistant business. But a lot of people are looking for somebody to sort through their email box every day and just send me the important stuff, or be my customer service, because I'm focused on creating new products. I don't really have time to talk to my customers, which is unfortunate. But, you can get somebody to filter through that stuff for you, come up with maybe some templates that they can respond with on certain things.
So I actually just spoke to somebody, and she wants that. She's in a business where she has to go and make calls on all her clients. But in the meantime, there's the data entry part that has to be done too. And if she's stuck doing the data entry, she doesn't have as many times to go get the client. So we're talking about having her hire me to do the data entry part, and that's something I can do from home.
Right.
And it's great. It would be a monthly contract. I've got another client who I think I told you about, Wynn Charles. She's a podcaster as well, and she's a young woman with cerebral palsy, but she's written a book that was a bestseller in its genre on Amazon. She's a podcast host. So she hires me to go out basically and find her good guests for her podcast.
Gotcha.
And I'm editing her books as well.
Oh, nice.
I love book editing. That's one of my favorite things to do. So VA people, not so big in the data entry, but if you're writing books, I love editing.
Awesome. And I think we have people here in the desert who are just certainly doing that. So it's good to hear.
And editing makes a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm just learning that. I was working with a coach for the last 6 months and writing on a regular basis. And one of the points she kept hammering home to me was writing is rewriting.
Yes.
So, as a matter of fact, that blue book over there is everything that I printed out from what I've written in the last 6 months. And I put it up on social media because it was a harrowing process for me for some reason to print all that out. I couldn't understand why I had to print it out. What's the point? It's on my laptop. She's like, you need to see what you've done. So then I did post about the experience that I had while I was printing it out. And someone asked me, how many pages is it? And I said, you know what, I don't know. And I counted, and it's 221 pages.
You wrote a novel?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if only it was coherent. Might have something there. But the editing and the writing it makes a big difference in the work, for sure.
Yeah. And it's fun.
Do you feel like the move to this part of the desert has had anything to do with this spiritual awakening that you've been experiencing?
Absolutely.
And what about it?
I don't think that it was necessarily part of the catalyst of it, but I think there is so much incredible energy up here that it sort of enabled it to come more quickly and easily. Especially because in a big city you've got so many distractions, so many things that create negative energy going on. And out here there's just, it's so beautiful. There's so much open space. It's so easy to get back into a positive mindset just by going outside or even just looking out the window, really.
Exactly. I need to pull in the blinds, but got the good view.
So it helps because when you're in an environment of beauty, it's easier to find your happiness. And then, you practice it enough and hopefully you're able to take that feeling of well-being with you to whatever environment you're in.
So if
spread
someone,
it around.
Yeah, for sure. So if someone were interested in working with you, doing this work like you're doing with Sabrina, where would they find that? Is that on your website?
Not yet. It will be. I'm still doing the practice. I'm still kind of getting my processes in line. And, one of the things that's really helpful, for example, I have dogs. And they're not real used to people. Dogs, they bark and bark and bark. And she is allergic to dogs. So it worked out well because I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? And so I figured out how to put tables on the back porch in an area where it's shaded, but the dogs can't see and have her come out to that. So I'm still figuring out how I'm going to be able to have this set up. And I do have a bonus room back there that people will be able to get to without going into the house, coming in that way. So I have to get that fixed up because there's a little leak on the floor when it rains. I have to get that fixed and then set up that room. So I still have some work to do before I'm going to be ready to do it for service on location. However, I'll be able to do it online before then.
Oh, okay, great.
Because everything I do, I also do online through face-to-face video conference as well. My other friends I'm practicing with are in Wisconsin and Missouri and Florida. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Were you always in Florida? Because I detect a different accent, like maybe Eastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I knew it. I was actually listening to one of the podcasts that you did with Wind last night, and I'm like, that accent is so, because I grew up in Jersey, and we had relatives in Eastern Pennsylvania. Yeah. So where in Eastern Pennsylvania were you?
When I was outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Area called Fallcroft, really small, where I grew up. And I moved out of there when I was a young child to Florida with my parents, but that is kind of a thick accent, and my accent has kind of gone away because then I lived in Florida and then California. But I was just talking to my sister the other day, and it was funny because it hit me. I'm like, God, her accent is so thick. Yeah. And when you talk to your family, sometimes it starts to come out a little more. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, my Jersey comes out when I get angry or when I get really excited about something. Because when I moved from Jersey in '96 to North Carolina, if I met you, I would introduce myself as Dawn. I'm Dawn. But like you, through moves to different places, it just kind of softened out naturally. Yeah. And people pay a lot of money to lose those accents.
I mean, every once in a while, water still slips out. Need a drink of water.
Well, have one. Well, believe it or not, we're out of time. But I am so grateful to have you here today. And before we go, I'm going to ask you to choose 4 numbers between 1 and 50. And your answers will be available to the Patreon subscribers, who I appreciate so much for the podcast. So your numbers, please.
7.
Okay.
19. 49 and 50.
Okay. I'm going to read the questions so everybody will know what you're answering. If I can find them. Here they are. Okay. The first one will be, any advice for a previous boss? The next one will be, what's your go-to coffee or beverage order? The next one will be, to finish the sentence, I've always wanted. And then the last question will be, What was the first paying job you ever had, and where was it? So if you would like to hear Meilani's answers to those questions, go out to desertladydiaries.com, click on the support page, and check out the Patreon option. Thanks again for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me, Dawn. It was a pleasure.
Great.
I'm shouting out this week to Carol, Jane, Teresa, and Amy for signing up for the weekly newsletter. I appreciate you ladies so much. Thank you. And I want to let you know that a monthly Patreon contribution isn't the only way to support the podcast. If you'd like to make a one-time donation, head to desertladydiaries.com, click on the support page, and select the donate button. This will bring you to PayPal, which gives you the choice of using your PayPal balance, a debit or credit card. And those contributions help to defray the costs of putting out this free podcast. I literally just got an email from Wix, who the website is through, and they're raising the annual fee for the website from $120 to $156 a year. So every little bit helps. Stickers are also still available for $2 each, and those can be purchased through the PayPal option. Just make sure you put your mailing address in the comments so I can mail you the stickers, and you'll get something in your mailbox besides those local store sales circulars and bills. Last, if you're local to Joshua Tree, I'm super excited to announce that I will be writing the Joshua Tree Do Tell column in the High Desert Star Weekender. That's a free local paper available on Saturdays, and the column highlights various events and goings-on in the area. I'm stepping into the shoes of the incomparable Teresa Seitz, who created the column, and you can listen to the story of how that happened in her Desert Lady Diary episode number 51. I'm really proud to be joining the other journalists who are committed to sharing the good news about their neighborhoods and keeping folks informed. Free press is a very important component of democracy. Now here's my friend Jean-Paul to tell you about his podcast and his local bookstore in Joshua Tree.
Science fiction stories and interviews blasting straight out of the Mojave Desert and beyond. Space Cowboy Books presents Simultaneous Times Podcast. Free to stream on your favorite podcast player. Find out more at spacecowboybooks.com and be sure to visit our store in Joshua Tree, California.
Thanks so much for listening. See you next week.